Hey there, lovely writerly folks. So I am back for this week's instalment, and I thought I'd talk a bit this week about organic marketing because there's been a lot of talk within my little community at the moment about book marketing and self-promotion and then like book promotion as a separate thing, and so I thought I'd just talk about some of the things I've tried just recently and maybe some of the things that you want to do. So I think we're all aware that just lately, in the last sort of 6 months or so, Facebook's algorithms have got sort of tighter than ever, and if you run a business author page as opposed to personal profile page that you're running as your author, which you're not supposed to do because Facebook doesn't like it, but if you're running a business author page, it is virtually impossible to get your statuses in front of other people without paying Facebook for advertising these days. So I thought what we'd do is we'd talk about ways that you can use Facebook organically and sort of things that you can try. So we'll start with that one. So Facebook itself is quite the animal, isn't it? Now, I run a group and I belong to a couple of groups, and what I have found is that being inside of groups on Facebook can be hit and miss. So you can join, I think I must belong to, 40 of these like book promo Facebook groups and Facebook pages where you just go in, drop a link to your book, and there's hundreds of them, and the posts never get liked, and no one seems to visit the page except for the 14,000 writers that belong to it. Now, I have kind of mixed thoughts on it. My knee-jerk reaction is to say that it's not going to work. However, I don't know if in some ways Facebook gives you points for trying, because I have found that I've deliberately not done my kind of weekly, drop post. So sort of once a week, I tend to go around to all those groups, those kind of what seem to be sort of dead groups where people just post books and no one reads anything. I've had a couple of weeks deliberately, so 3 weeks on, 1 week off, 3 weeks on, 1 week off. And the week when I didn't do it, I kind of watched a wobble in sales. And it was, maybe there were lots of other factors, but perhaps Facebook does give you points for trying. So if you are dropping your books and it feels like you're dropping them into, huge, great big ponds on Facebook and you don't think they're going anywhere, trial it out. Maybe take a week off from doing it and see if anything changes. So try that one. I belong to a romance authors sort of re-Facebook group, and the lady that runs it, Amy, she's always looking to add members, so I'll put the link to that in the down bar. And that is actually a pretty good group. So it's romance writers only, and do check the guidelines before you join, because they are tight, and there are lots of groups out there on Facebook like this one that are specific to your genre. So it's just going to take some searching about, really. So this particular group that I belong to is a retweet, sort of re-Facebook, like and share group, and you don't just get to drop links and bugger off. You've got to return the favour. So certain posts will go up every day, and one will be a Facebook post, for instance, one will be an Amazon post, one will be a Twitter post, and you tag the links underneath of the particular status, tweet or Amazon review that you want bumped up. And then every writer that also has a post that they want bumped up, it goes underneath. You all kind of like each other's posts, tweets or reviews, and then they all like yours. And what it does is it helps to do things, especially from an Amazon point of view. If you've got a review that's really, really good and you want that bumped to the top of the pile, it just helps to push that review when someone goes in there and clicks, yes, this was very helpful to me. You can actually get on posts with people, and where it's authors from a similar genre, it doesn't look odd. Because, if you had, horror writers and, sweet romance writers cross-promoting each other's posts, it would look odd, which is why sticking to your genre is best, in my opinion. But I'll tag a link down below anyway. I also run a Facebook group. I wrote a book that went out on release earlier on this year, Building an Author Platform, and it talks about organic ways to get started with book marketing. And I run a group. I'll tag a link down to that underneath as well. And I tend to post once or twice a week, just any new little tips, tricks, any habits, anything that I think it might be worth, you trying as a fiction author. I just drop the links in there, or, drop a status in there, and you can, feedback and let me know whether it worked or whether it didn't. So I'll put the links down for that too. And the other thing that I do is I am a YouTube addict, clearly. But I follow a lovely lady on YouTube called Kim Chance, and she's a really big writer / YouTuber within the writer community. So you've potentially heard of her if you're a writer on YouTube. But I'll tag a link to her and this specific video that she's just done. So she did a video last week about starting out on Instagram, and I have great success with Instagram. I run a couple of different sort of pages, a couple of different types of accounts, and I'm definitely kind of getting to grips with it. And one of the things that Kim said, and you can see it in the video that I'll put down below, one of the things that Kim said is that, and for a writer this is horrendous, using emojis in your Instagram statuses actually helps the ISEO listings. How mad is that emojis are placing words? However, so yes, definitely do use emojis in what you've got to say. Google likes it, madly enough. But there's watch Kim's video on kind of getting started on Instagram. It's pretty useful, because when you trawl through Instagram, and I've got an issue with it at the moment on one of my other pages that I run. I've got a writer, and she keeps coming in underneath my posts. And it's a book group. I run a book group completely separate from myself. And she keeps coming in underneath other books that I'm recommending, promoting her own books. And I have to go in and kind of delete them. I have to go in and delete the comments, because she is just kind of blanket going across Twitter and Instagram and promoting herself on the bottom of other people's posts. And I mean, it's shockingly rude, really, really rude. And, if it doesn't stop, she's done it a couple of times. If she doesn't stop doing it, I'm going to have to block her. And judging by how few followers she's got, I would say a lot of people are blocking her. So if you're a bit unsure about social media etiquette, just, if you'd find it rude if someone did it to you, don't do it to someone else. But check out Kim's video, she's really great. So the other thing I suppose that I want to say that kind of occurred to me, I've listened to a few podcasts this week. I love a podcast, but I haven't had a chance to catch up on them. And so this week I've kind of done a big overload. And I think that the podcast I was listening to was called Mum Rights. And I'll check it. I'm fairly sure it's called the Mum Rights Podcast, but American Mum, M-O-M, if you go looking for it, Mum Rights. And I'll tag that underneath as well. It's a great podcast. Go and listen to it. I won't go into the oohs and ahs of it, but it's about writers who are also mums and juggle everything. But one of the authors on there was basically saying about how she's a maker, and I think that is so important to remember sometimes, that we are makers. And I think any form of creative person, writer, artist, whatever, the whole point to get to the end of our day is that at the end of that day we have created something, we have made something. And I think we can get so caught up in having to panic about marketing and self-promotion and all those things that really don't come naturally, that we can let that weigh us down, and then that affects how we make and what we create and how much we create. Because even with all the will in the world, we can market till we're blue in the face, but at the end of the day, if we're not creating, then we're not living our authentic selves, are we? So I've listened to a few people in the last sort of couple of weeks, and they seem to have been kind of beaten down by the old negative mindset, comparisonitis, and that, they're not doing enough and what they are doing isn't working. And I get a lot at the moment about how BookBub is the only thing that works, and you know, I'd really love to be able to sit here and say, no, it's not. I'd really love to say BookBub isn't the only thing that works. But BookBub is a really powerful marketing tool, and if the gods of BookBub will listen to you and let you in on their newsletter, then yes, it really does, you know, have a positive push on your sales and your downloads and your sort of follow-on sales, you know, as the weeks go on after the promotion. But that doesn't mean that all forms of author marketing, organic author marketing, is pointless. But what we have got to do, I think, is we've got to get to a place where the author marketing that we do it because there is a certain level of enjoyment to it. So we've got to pick the things that are real, if you like, because if you're being false, if you're having to kind of force it, I think it comes across really plainly on social media. You know, gone are the days when, you know, blanket 1980s marketing worked. It doesn't work anymore. The only way to kind of get out there and sell yourself from a creative point of view is to be real with people, which kind of comes back full circle to my final point about branding. I've seen a lot of authors, I don't know, maybe it's the full moon, but they seem to have all gone a bit mad lately, and you know, myself included. The posts have got kind of erratic and lots. It's like a wave of posts everywhere I go at the moment, and I think that it's always worth returning to brand. And this is a habit I started a couple of months ago, and it may just be a tip that works for you. At the end of every month now, I've been going back through my social media platform and just having a look at where I lost my way, if that makes any sense. So my Instagram, for instance, my brand on Instagram is that I'm a writer and a mum who likes wine and walks dogs. So I know, but therefore my Instagram reflects that. You know, you will get pictures of my kids, you will get, you know, Friday night pictures of wine and whatever other concoction I can concoct on a Friday or a Saturday night. You will occasionally get pictures of food, and there will be wet, muddy, rainy dogs in pictures, as you know, all interspersed with, you know, books and quotes and authory, writery things, because that's me. It's no good trying to force myself to have a social media brand that I'm not. And I've been going back through at the end of the month, and it's funny when you go back through your posts and you kind of flick back through and you're like, well, what the hell did I post that for? And I look at the post and I'm like, well, I posted it because I needed to post something and I didn't know what to post, so I just posted that. Which is, you know, no good, is it? So what I've taken to doing is I go back through once a month and I kind of clean it up. Anything that, you know, blatantly doesn't fit, I get rid. And it's also helped me to fine tune. I tend to post a lot less drivel, because I look at it and I'm like, I'm only going to be going back in a week and deleting that. That's dumb. Just don't post it. You know, that's not to say leave 8, 10, 12 days between posts, but it's making me just a bit more conscious about the things that I am kind of slapping up there. So that's kind of my thoughts on branding. So the point is that you decide early on who your online self is going to be, and you kind of stick to it. And I think that as far as Instagram goes, it's a lot easier to manage because, you know, the pictures are right there in front of you in order, and you've got, you know, a comparison as you go through. With Facebook, it's a bit harder because you've got to, you know, go back through all the posts, and so Facebook takes a bit more management. But I think when you belong to one of these kind of author self-promotion groups, like the Retweet Romance that I'll tag up underneath, that again also makes you quite conscious of what you're going to post, and it kind of makes you look at the old 80-20 rule, and it's a really kind of old-fashioned marketing technique that kind of rings true, really. So out of 10 posts, so 10 Facebook posts, 8 of them should be kind of warm and chatty and, you know, informative, a bit funny, that kind of thing. and then the other 2 posts can be promotion related. But then again, promotion related isn't what it used to be. You can't just put up a buy my book. You've got to have a reason to do it. So I'm kind of Facebook heavy at the moment. I've kind of, the 80-20 rule for me this month has gone out the window because I'm releasing a book at the end of the month. Well, my publisher's releasing my book at the end of the month. So I'm a bit more heavy. But I did and I do tend to put out blanket posts apologising, because I'm a British person, so I like to apologise. So yeah, I offered a lot of freebies, and I'm like, I'm going to bore you senseless this month. I've got a book coming out. Here are free things. Go and sign up for free things as an apology for how many times I'm going to be spamming you with how excited I am about my book. And I hope that, that gives me a little bit of levity. So those are my thoughts on sort of Facebook and Instagram. And I think my last one that I was going to mention came via another writer, actually. And I don't know if it was, synchronicitous that we were all doing it at the same time. But Book Hippo, if you're in the UK, has kind of popped back up on my radar. And I put in an application and signed up for Book Hippo. And it is a free book promotion service. The website is run. The website is it's okay. The Book Hippo website. It was what I was really looking for was information. I was looking for an about page, as to exactly how and what they do. And so the website's a little bit disjointed, but you kind of work it out, and you put your author profile up there, and then you fill in a submission for them to run a promotion on your book, and they don't tell you yes or no as such. You just kind of get an email if you've gone into the newsletter. And I don't know, this week the trickle down sales this week seem to show that something is kind of working. So I don't know if it was like a perfect storm of starting to promote the second book and the Book Hippo, and then going back to dropping the first book in all the Facebook pages. But yeah, there was definitely a trickle down of sales. So it couldn't hurt to, have a go at Book Hippo if that's your thing. And it's just a case of trying anything, I think. So I'll tag all the groups and everything that I said about underneath. If you come across to Building an Author Platform for Marketing Tips, that's my group. Make sure you say hi when you come by. And if you do come across in my group and you've got any suggestions or anything like that, we'd love to hear from you. Do come on in and comment. And I think that's my random waffle for this week. So I will see you all next Friday.